Listen, if you can afford a lawyer, oh my God, get a lawyer, okay? But in this economy, I don't know a lot of people who can afford a lawyer. We are both back in our natural habitats this week. You're back from Texas. I am back in front of my glamorous, I've got that tacky Playboy bunny above my head again. It's so tacky, and I
love
should
it.
have put it. Do you? It's so 90s. But whatever. We're going with it. We are going with it.
Go with it.
Okay, so friends, family, loved ones, new followers. We have a few newbies who are joining us. Hello, new friends. We have done a little rebrand, as you may or may not have noticed. The podcast is no longer titled AI for Hotties.
R.I.P.
Are we still hot? Yeah, we are hotter than ever. But I feel like AI for Hotties was kind of a bit of a fangirl title, like an AI fangirl title, like we love AI. And I think as we're going more on this adventure of learning all about AI, we're not alarmists. We don't want to be AI alarmists, but I think we are well and truly no longer in the AI fangirl camp. And we wanted to appear more discerning because we are we're concerned a little, but we're still here to have a good time and we're still hot. So now welcome to Artificial Insanity.
Second reason is because when you search AI and hotties, you're probably going to get things you're more interested in than our podcast. So
I really, really hope, though, that the amount of comments from random businessmen on TikTok saying, please sit on my face, I hope those comments don't go away because those comments gave me life and I'll miss them if they disappear. So creepy businessmen, you are still free to slide into my DMs. That's about the extent of my love life right now. That's all the action I'm getting. Okay, so anyways, enough about that. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about AI and the law. We're going to talk about some big AI lawsuits right now. I'm also going to tell you my little personal journey of how I kind of use ChatGPT to be my lawyer, and I've been doing that for the past few years. So I'm going to tell you about that. But before we go any further, Jess, I wanted to just ask you if you've been having the same experience as me online lately. Over the past week, or maybe the past 2 weeks, and I don't know if it coincides with Sora 2 being more out there, or if maybe my algorithm just knows that I'm doing this podcast now, but I swear in the last couple weeks, my feeds everywhere have been inundated with commercials who have AI actors, if you can call them that, who have AI people. What do you call them? AI freaks? What are they? Clankers?
that should have been our other podcast
people.
name, AI freaks. I think AI generated, I guess just AI generated
Characters?
likeness.
AI generated characters, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm shocked by how many of these ads I am now seeing that are not for AI. They're just for products, just normal products. But it is clearly, and maybe my eyes are a little more savvy than some other people's because I'm researching this stuff, but they are clearly AI generated characters speaking. And the one thing that I'm like blown away by, as if social media didn't already make you a little self-conscious of your looks because everybody's putting their best foot forward and like their most glamorous photos and pictures and stuff online. Now we have these motherfuckers who are flawless. I remember a while back you were trying to generate some AI photos of people who look
average
like
looking
normal people.
Yeah.
It can't do it. It can't do it. Everyone has flawless skin, perfect features, perfectly symmetrical faces, no skin conditions. It's like perfect teeth. And I'm like, is AI ever going to be able to generate people who actually look like humans? And does it even want to generate people who look like actual flawed human beings? Or are we just going to go into a world where the beauty standard is now set by AI.
I'm also getting a lot of that content. And the people who are really in this like space of using AI in like commercials and stuff, they have a way more in-depth pipeline in order to like get it to look a certain way. And one of the steps is like you go to one app to generate the image of the fake person, and then you go to another app to make them look more real by adding flaws. And so they like almost have like a flaw step because AI is so much, it's good at generating really beautiful people because it's mostly scraped from stock images and advertising. And so, but they go to a separate app just to like add in some flaws so that and depth so that it looks more real. And I think the ads that we're seeing they're not doing that. I think they're just doing step one, which is
step one.
But yeah. I like to watch normal people.
Me too. I like a little edge. I mean, listen, I'm not one to talk. I'm going to wind up looking like Dolly Parton in a couple decades. Although she doesn't have a lot of weird tattoos, so maybe that'll give me an edge.
And the world loves her. She's like the most
Dolly.
loved person. Yeah. Also, Sophie, this is one of those episodes I really wish we had a guest and we could just bring on this like hot woman lawyer to just like answer all our questions. But today you and I are going to be the lawyers. I think we might be whatever the opposite of lawyers is. I think that might be us. But that's okay because we looked into it.
We looked into it, you guys. As always, you can count on us to look into it. You can count on us to do a 30-minute online search about any topic that we're going to cover.
Sophie,
we are cutting-edge journalists.
Okay. You actually have a record of winning some legal cases. So I think if anyone has a right to stand here and talk about the law, it is you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Jess is right. For a second, when you said you have a record, I was like, uh-oh, where are we going with this? Did you look up my criminal record? Guys, I don't have a criminal record. But listen, let me just start from the beginning. I want to preface this by saying I can't give you a ton of information about this because I don't want to get sued. So I'm going to try to dance around this a little bit. But let me just take you back to the year 2021. I want to give details that I can't give, but let's just say me and my daughter's father, we separated when she was 1 year old. That first custody case, I got a lawyer. I was trying to get some child support and everybody told me you got to get a lawyer. Every single person, you got to get a lawyer. You got to get a lawyer. I had no money. So I was like, oh, I don't know. But everyone was like, trust me, it'll be worth it. So I hunted around. I interviewed a bunch of lawyers, got a great legal team, very reputable. I wound up spending over $30,000 on this first case, this first family court case that I paid to these lawyers. I was putting it on my credit card. Every paycheck I got, it would go to paying off these legal fees. I was drowning. And when we finally went to court, I lost. I had to wind up paying him child support. I can't go into detail about it, but I lost. Big time.
That's crazy. Especially, doesn't the court usually side with mothers? That's wild.
Not in California. Not in California. And any woman now that I know who's like going through a court case like this, like a family court case in California, I'm like, don't get a lawyer. Don't do it. Don't bother. Don't bother.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, okay. But then after that initial court hearing that I lost, my daughter's father has dragged me back to court 3 other times with some kind of like bogus filings. Sometimes people will use the court system as a way to sort of like continue to inflict control, continue to inflict, I don't want to say the word abuse because it's a hot button word, but that's what was going on. By that point, I said bye-bye to my lawyer. But I was being dragged to court. I had to show up to court. So instead, I spent my nights after I would finish working and put my daughter to bed. I would watch YouTube videos and I would use ChatGPT and AI and other search tools like that to tell me how to be my own lawyer. And the 3 other hearings that I had to go to, I represented myself using those tools and I won all 3 of those cases. So, listen though, you got to be careful because sometimes YouTube gets it wrong and a lot of the time ChatGPT will get it wrong. So you got to be really, really careful. I do also want to flag, which I didn't know as I was doing my own legal research and stuff. OpenAI now has legal GPT. Did you know this, Jess?
No, I didn't. I feel like I'd heard it, but I completely forgot about it until you brought it up.
Okay, so
what does that mean?
Legal GPT is literally like a separate version of ChatGPT that is specifically designed to help with legal issues. So all of its information that it's pulled and that it like survives on is about the law. So it's really suggested that lawyers and legal professionals can use it as a resource, but anybody can use it. I went
inside the ChatGPT app.
You type in legal GPT.
You like Google legal GPT and it opens up. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought this was like an app inside ChatGPT, but you're saying it's like a separate app.
It looks exactly like the interface is exactly like ChatGPT, but it just says legal GPT and it's specifically designed to help you write your own court documents, do legal research. Listen, if you can afford a lawyer, oh my God, get a lawyer, okay? But in this economy, I don't know a lot of people who can afford a lawyer. And if you are in a situation where you have to go to court, or even if you've been screwed over by somebody and you're like, I want to try to do something about this. I can't afford a lawyer, but I've been screwed over and I want to at least try to see if I can get this made right. You can ask Legal GPT what documents you need to file in your state, because obviously in America, every state has different laws. It can help you prepare your documents, tell you how to file them, tell you how to serve the other party. It can literally walk you through step by step by step. So listen, it's not perfect at all. It's flawed, and most lawyers will, of course, tell you not to use it. Most people will tell you not to use it as a lawyer. But if you have no other option, it's similar just to when we were talking about the therapy situation. And it's like, not everyone can afford a therapist. And if you have no other resources available, this can be a really big help. I'll even go as far as to say I would sometimes go down to the Los Angeles Family Courthouse and wait in line for hours to try to use their self-help thing. They have maybe like 2 clerks at the self-help desk on a daily basis, and there will be a line out the door of all these poor people who can't afford lawyers waiting to speak to one of these clerks. And the clerks aren't lawyers, the clerks aren't judges. I'm guessing they are literally just county employees. Maybe they have a little bit of legal background, but most of the time you wait in line for hours, finally get to the front of the line, and I hate to say it, the clerks aren't super helpful and they're a little bit mean sometimes. And if you don't have your shit 100% together, they're like, sometimes look at you like you're an idiot, and you wind up leaving feeling more demoralized. And also there's no parking at Stanley Moss Courthouse. And so you're just like, why did I waste my entire day to come down here and then be made to feel like an idiot? Most of the stuff that the court self-help thing can tell you, ChatGPT can tell you.
Can you, have you thought about this in retrospect in terms of what did using ChatGPT give you that the lawyer didn't?
The truth. It gave me the
What do you mean?
the brutal. It gave me the brutal and honest truth about what my chances of getting a ruling in my favor were.
Interesting. And you feel like the lawyer's incentive is not to be brutally honest with you.
Yep. And maybe not all lawyers are
Wow.
like this, but if I had known previously, or if in that first hearing, I had known that pretty much every judge in California is very pro 50-50 unless there is like a huge police case file of, abuse.
Right.
My lawyer didn't tell me that. The lawyer also didn't tell me how child support in California is calculated. That they didn't tell me that your ex-partner's debts are taken into account and their expenses are taken into account. So I was over there living humbly and trying to have no debt, thinking that would reflect well on me. And when it actually comes down to the number crunching, if they are living big money lifestyle and living beyond their means and in mountains of debt, that plays a factor into how it is calculated. So my lawyer didn't tell me any of that. So
Wow.
I had no idea. And I think, at the time I was like very vulnerable and I was really still shocked by how badly things had turned. Because what's interesting, when I was interviewing lawyers, I did actually meet with one male lawyer, and he kind of tried to break the news to me that my case wasn't going to be super easy because there was a lot of legal loopholes in terms of the property that I shared with my daughter's dad. So this lawyer, this man, the only man lawyer that I interviewed, had kind of tried to be like, well, I wouldn't really bother trying to file for that because blah, blah, blah. And I remember at the time being really upset with him, but it was very much a case of like, don't shoot the messenger, because I think I just couldn't believe that the law was like, I couldn't believe the law was like that. And I also think I was mad at myself for not covering my ask legally. When I was thinking I was starting this family with someone, I didn't legally cover my ass at all. I basically set myself up to be completely financially screwed over. And then when I was faced with the reality of that, I think I couldn't really accept it. And so I went with the lawyer that was like, this is not right. We're going to make sure that he has to be held accountable for what he has done. And, I could have gone to ChatGPT and gone, what are my chances, or legal GPT and gone, what are my chances of this actually happening? What way do judges usually rule? How is child support calculated? What forms do they take into account? Because I think like so many of us, we have this idea of how court hearings go because we watch TV and we see that like if somebody does a great speech in court, or they come in and they're like, look at this person who's done these shitty things. We think that there's going to be some type of justice. And the sad fact is, it's not illegal to be a bad person. It's not illegal to be a deadbeat dad.
And I don't know if this is in your algorithm, but I get like the videos of judges like talking to a man who's just taking care of his son who has cancer, and he's like, I'm going to relieve your parking ticket because I can see how good of a person you are. And our first thoughts are like, the court system is working. And then you think about it and you're like, okay, why is this televised? Why is this on a lit studio? Like, wait a minute, this isn't how the law works.
Yeah,
We're like,
100%.
wait.
You're so right. I always think about that scene. I'm sure everybody has watched it online, where it's a couple fighting over a dog. And the woman is like, the dog is in my name. My name is on the microchip. And then the judge is like, bailiff, bring in the dog. And then the dog comes into the courtroom and immediately runs to the man. And then the judge goes, I think it's clear who this dog loves more, and gives custody of the dog to the man. Like, it's like,
and we're all like, yep, that's like, how the law works. We just like totally accept it.
It's actually way more boring than that. And it's literally just like, if this happens, this has to happen. Like, it's actually pretty black and white in most cases. And also, I will say, when you are called in for family court, your hearing will be on the same day as like 10 other families. And so you can see everybody else's case. And you see these people coming in with lawyers. I've sat through now probably 12 hours of watching other people's family court hearings. And you see people coming in with their whole legal team. And then you see people representing themselves. And as long as the person who's representing themselves can kind of speak clearly and not come across as like a complete asshole and has their correct documentation, they're not going to be disadvantaged. You aren't going to be disadvantaged if you represent yourself and you've done your research. So that's something for people to know.
Family court specifically.
Yes, under family court specifically.
Yeah.
I've never been to court for any other reason. So I can't tell you anything about that. But I think, for stuff like civil suits, small claims even, stuff like a friend of mine is trying to get, she had a guy sublet her apartment in Los Angeles, and she moved back from the East Coast and was like, hey dude, like, I'll give you a month's notice, as we talked about, this guy now won't leave and he's not paying any rent, and he's just like, you can't kick me out.
Squatters' rights.
She was going down to the legal library every day trying to get help. And then I was kind of just like, girl, like, get on ChatGPT and try to figure this out. Save you going down to the law library every day. So I think, if you've got no other way to defend yourself, use the hell out of it. Use the hell out of it.
Even better, both. If you have the resources to do, like a lawyer was, they're like, what, like they charge by like the minute or like the hour.
Yeah.
So just like we were talking about with therapy, it's like you don't have access to them 24/7. So you should use it as supplemental help for sure.
So, okay, that is my personal experience. After me realizing how useful AI was to help me prepare my case, I was kind of like, are lawyers allowed to use this, and are they using it? Because it really it's great. So, I'm like, all these other careers, all these other industries, people are being encouraged to, or their bosses, people in corporate America, they're being encouraged to use AI to help their productivity. And I was like, I wonder if that's the case in law firms. Are law partners saying to their associates, like, hey guys, billable hours, like, go ahead and use AI to help you out here, but then you can put your billable hours as though you did all this research. I was curious. I wasn't sure. So I did a little looking into it, and apparently in 2023, there was a New York attorney. Him and his client had filed this injury claim for damages against some company. I can't remember what exactly. Oh, it was an airline. Apparently the little drink cart smashed him in the knee as it was going down the aisle, and he hurt his knee, and so he was suing the airline for damages
a flight
to
attendant?
his knee. It was the man who was sitting in the seat, right?
Oh, I see.
Plane.
I see.
Does that make sense?
It was a worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of the passengers.
That sounds like a first class passenger.
I know, right? What an idiot. Like, I hear people like that and I'm like, get an ice pack and, do you want mummy to kiss it better and you'll be okay and you'll get back on the playground? Like, please. So anyways, This guy tried to sue the airline, and his lawyer, I need to read you this because, oh my God, I died thinking about how awkward it would have been to be in the courtroom when this went down. Okay, so hold on one second. So I'm just going to read you like the beginning of the article, and I just want you to imagine being this client and watching your lawyer crash out so hard. Okay.
In the courtroom.
So in the courtroom. Okay, so this is a New York Times article. The writer is Benjamin Weiser. The title is, Here's What Happens When Your Lawyer Uses ChatGPT. I'll just read you a little bit from it. The lawsuit began like so many others. A man named Roberto Mata sued the airline Avianca, saying he was injured when a metal serving cart struck his knee during a flight to Kennedy International Airport in New York. When Avianca asked a Manhattan federal judge to toss out the case, Mr. Mata's lawyers vehemently, did I say that right? Vehemently? I don't know.
Vehemently.
Objected, submitting a 10-page brief that cited more than half a dozen relevant court decisions. There was Martinez versus Delta Airlines, Zickerman versus Korean Airlines, and of course, Vahiz versus China Southern Airlines. There was just one hitch. No one, not the airline's lawyers, not even the judge himself, could find the decisions or the quotations cited and summarized in the brief. That was because ChatGPT had invented everything. The lawyer who created the brief, Stephen A. Schwartz of the firm Levidow, and Oberman, threw himself on the mercy of the court on Thursday, saying in an affidavit that he had used the artificial intelligence program to do his legal research. A source that has revealed itself to be unreliable, is his quote. Mr. Schwartz, who has practiced law in New York for 3 decades, told Judge Kevin Castle that he had no intent to deceive the court or the airline. Mr. Schwartz, here's the bit that killed me. Mr. Schwartz said that he had never used ChatGPT and therefore was unaware of the possibility that its content could be false. Okay, that's enough of that article. But can you imagine? I mean, I don't know if that was a lie I don't know if he was just saying, I've never used this before, but that almost makes him sound even more stupid. Like, bro, you're just going to pull up this new thing and bring it into a court hearing? Like, what are you...
Okay, this is the most, that just shines such a light on the most frustrating thing about ChatGPT and Google's AI overview is most people, even smart, educated people, think that it is 100% correct. They think that it's like the equivalent of regular Google. They think it's like a verified source. They're like, oh, this is a really intelligent robot. It's called artificial intelligence. It's smarter than a human. It has to give me the right answer. So they, like, people who don't know much about ChatGPT, especially first-time users, think that it's
facts. They think it's facts.
And also it's designed to... Well, it's an argument on whether this is a design choice or not. But if you asked it something and it doesn't know the answer, it won't ever say, I don't know. It will go find an answer, whether it's true or not. And it's not necessarily because I don't know the entire truth about this. We'd have to ask an expert, but I've seen both arguments where, it's a design choice so that you won't go, ChatGPT doesn't know anything, so I'm not going to use it. But it's actually the way that AI works is it's going and searching and collecting. It's sort of hallucinating. Like, it doesn't have the ability to say, I don't know. And it's not necessarily to keep you engaged. It's just the way the technology is built. We'd have to get Nate Jones on to tell us.
We need Nate Jones. Okay, this is so important to remember. If you are using ChatGPT for literally anything and you ask it a question, because you're right, Jess, it will never, ever say, I'm not really sure. It will never do that. What it will do is when you call it out and say, that's bullshit, it will be like, oh yeah, he, like, oopsies, you're right. Here's a better answer. Yeah. Like, here's a new answer. But it will never say, I don't know.
I am hesitant about even admitting this, but I was making a video and I I use Claude for research, and then it gives me a bunch of sources, and I go read those sources. And this is what most people say about using AI research is it's like it's a thought partner leading you to the right sources, or some sources to get you started on a path. And it gave me a stat directly from a research paper. And I was like, oh, well, it gave me this stat from the research paper. I recorded the whole video, realized that one of my stats was just completely made up. And I was like, wait, I gotta double check this. And I go back and it was like, oh yeah, no, this is totally incorrect. And it was like pulling directly from like a academic research paper where like the correct stat was there. It like inferred a different stat out of it that was totally misleading. And it makes you think like how many lawyers and maybe even scientists and journalists and YouTubers are using this thing for research and not doing the follow-up step it takes to go verify what's real and come to your own conclusions, because it's not there yet. And so many people think it is. So many people think it is. And even for small stuff, like even like a lot of people ask for medical advice, and it's just like, it's not 100% there yet. So like, let's just it's a great starting point for sure.
Yes, that is exactly right, Jess. It's a great starting point. You have to double check everything. And I get that for some people that feels like it defeats the whole purpose of it. It doesn't. Like it can still really help you, but don't ever take what it says as gospel truth until you go and check it.
Totally.
Check everything.
Totally.
But oh my God, can you imagine the cringe factor of being in that courtroom when everyone's like, okay, like the crazy thing is that ChatGPT literally made up these case names like Martinez versus Delta. Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, where? Was he pulling those? Was that being pulled from? Like, I don't know. Is that
No
just
clue.
a glitch? Who knows? But the point is, it's not perfect. So I went to the American Bar Association's website because I was like, what is the latest here? Because that court case happened in 2023. And so I was kind of curious to see what was the latest in like whether lawyers were using this. And it says on the on americanbar.org, 24% of law firms use generative AI for tasks like legal research, document drafting, and marketing. Sure, marketing, great. But I couldn't find the step between this guy getting in trouble for using it. Maybe that lawyer from 2023 was always allowed to use it, but the reason why he got humiliated was because he didn't check it. But
Totally.
it seems like it is allowed, it is legal for law firms. If 24% of law firms are admitting it, and I'm sure there's more law firms that are actually doing it and not admitting it, admitting to using generative AI for legal research and document drafting, that's quite a bit.
I've heard recently, I can't remember what the source was, but that a lot of law firms have hired AI like engineers in order to make them specific like databases so that they can channel what they're asking. Like this lawyer sounds like I don't want to be ageist, but he's probably like not the youngest in the know on technology. And just totally used ChatGPT. Like it was heard that people were using it for AI, used it like Google, and didn't verify his sources. And I feel like if you use a more concentrated model, you probably get better results.
Yeah, I think so. And it's interesting, when I was for another episode, which we'll do at some point, which is, I mean, a lot of people have done videos about this, but it seems to keep evolving, is like, what are the jobs that AI is coming for next, right? And so, interestingly, paralegals, AI is coming for paralegals. Paralegal jobs may soon be extinct.
That feels like one of the first ones to go. Because, I mean, it's just like analyzing data that exists. Yeah. Like that seems like exactly. such the direct line.
There you go. Don't go to school to become a paralegal, guys. Become a plumber. Okay, Jess. Oh, there's one more big lawsuit I want to talk about before we get into some maybe more serious stuff. The other big legal / AI hot button topic that is kind of been circulating for a little while is the stolen IP case. Most people who sort of follow AI have probably heard that Sarah Silverman and a bunch of writers sued Meta because they used a pirated book website called LibGen that has millions and millions and millions of pirated books on it to train Llama. Now, they lost, right? The writers lost, and I can kind of see why. The Atlantic published an article that had a link to a database of every single book that was on the LibGen website, right? And I have a lot of writer friends, just coincidentally, and I also dated a novelist, and I just weirdly am sort of in adjacent to that literary world, even though I can barely read. But so what I did was I went to this website out of curiosity. I was like, I wonder if any of those guys, I wonder if any of my friends' books are on this pirated book website. And so I typed in my ex-boyfriend's title, I typed in his name, and his book popped up, and I love to rage bait him, so I texted him and was like, heads up, did you know that Meta stole your book to teach their LLM Llama? And he was like, yeah, I already knew that. And I was like, damn it, I wanted to rage bait. But then I went and looked up every single writer friend that I have. They were all on this database. Every piece of published work was listed in this database. So that got me kind of thinking, and I'm not saying it's right, it's not right, it's bad. But that got me thinking, if one of these writers sues, then it kind of opens it up to like literally every single writer, because it seems like LibGen or LitGen or whatever it is has literally pirated every single book that's ever been written, it seems like, and used it. And that's what Llama was trained on.
Were your friends in the lawsuit? Like, did they get payment or compensation?
Hang on, let me see.
It was class action, wasn't it?
It was, I think. Let me see what I texted my ex last night at like 1
I heard
o'clock
they
in
got,
the morning.
I heard everybody got like $3,000 per work or something like that.
Yes, that was it. Okay, so I said, are you awake? I have news. See how dramatic I was being?
You up?
I said, bitch, did you know your book was one of the books stolen by Meta to train their LLM Llama? And then I fell asleep and went to bed, and there was a time difference. And he said, yeah, although the one I signed up for was the Anthropic lawsuit, which is Claude's AI and would probably max out at $3,000. So I guess Anthropic is getting sued by writers as well. I can't keep up.
The Anthropic case is settled. So it's interesting because the Meta case was a loss for the authors.
For the artists.
But Anthropic was sued for the same thing, and they had to pay up $1.5 billion, I think. It might be more than that, but they had to pay billions of dollars for each of these authors that were pirated. And the important thing was too is they were also suing for copyright, and they didn't win the copyright case. That was considered fair use to train, like the act of training the model on a work is technically fair use according to this judge, but you have to get the content legally. You can't scrape it. So if they would have just bought the book on the internet or just like bought a paper copy, which they did steal a lot of books, but they also did actually legally purchase a lot of books. They literally go purchase books from the bookstore and would rip out the pages and scan them. Like they had people at their office doing this and feeding it to the LLM.
I have a question for you, Jess. Do you suspect, I know we're just speculating here because we do not know, do you suspect that maybe because Anthropic sort of tried to do it the right way, that it actually fucked themselves over? Because in my mind, obviously I'm a lawyer now, guys, as you know, but with my legal expertise, I automatically think, okay, if Anthropic paid some authors for their books and not other authors for their books, that then poses a huge problem for them. Because why is one thing okay for one person and not another person?
That's a good point. I don't know.
I'm wondering if that's why they wound up having to pay. And maybe Meta was just like, nah, we're not going to pay anybody. We're just going to go straight to LitGen.
Yeah. Well,
and
Meta has...
then there's no one to compare it to, and no one, like, I'm curious about that. We don't know, guys. I'll do some research and report back.
Well, Meta has a lot more... I mean, that's what all these lawsuits are about with AI is they know that this is not legal. Like, they know that pirating books aren't legal, but they have to weigh, do we do this illegally and risk the fine, or do we lose the AI race? And Meta has a lot more money to spend on legal, like $1.5 billion. They can make that back in a day. So why wouldn't they just go for it? And that's what a lot of these AI companies are weighing. And right now, because the AI race is so intense and there's so much investment money floating around, it's worth it to just risk getting sued. But the more that these lawsuits come up, the more that it becomes unmanageable for these companies, and the more pressure there is on legislation to actually make real laws that make it impossible for these companies to do it. But the thing that's important is, in a lawsuit, the way you get money is you have to prove what damage it did. So I'm guessing what happened with Anthropic is, okay, you have to show us every receipt for every book you purchased. And they were like, here's all the receipts for these books. We don't have any receipts for these books. And the truth is that we stole them. And so whatever amount of money that equals is how much they ended up having to pay back. And if, like you said, all of those books are on that list and they evaluated each book at like $3,000, that's a ton of books, and it adds up to billions of dollars, which again is like, not for Anthropic, that's a big loss for Anthropic.
Big loss.
But for other companies, it's nothing. So, but when you have everybody suing you and all works like music creators, authors, actors, people with IPs are all coming for you, then you actually have to be careful. And I'm kind of like, I'm impressed with how many people are fighting back and really getting together. Like, I make fun of our industry, our Los Angeles, quote unquote, Hollywood, for being so like behind the times on AI, but like they're fighting and resisting, and I'm like, at least someone is. Like, maybe it'll add up where they actually have to. The other interesting factor in this, that as I was looking into it, is big tech's worst nightmare is for every state to have a different law, because that means they have 50 different laws they have to abide by. But as people who want big tech to be more accountable, it's kind of like, yeah, let's give them 50 different laws that they have to try to figure out. Meta just had to pay Texas billions of dollars for scraping people's private data to train on their AI. And if every state is suing and then coming up with legislation, that really does force the AI companies to pump the brakes. But if the federal law comes in and makes a law that is like, you can't sue AI companies for this, then all that's gone. And that's why all the AI companies have banded together and are putting in ungodly amounts of money into super PACs to make sure that the federal laws.
What's a super PAC?
A super PAC is a fund that is used to help people get elected, that companies can put money into. So, like, we're gonna talk about the Gavin Newsom vetoing the bill that was supposed to protect children against AI. But they're all these huge companies, Google, Meta, have just put in a ton of money to help people who are trying to regulate AI to keep them from getting elected. So
Whoa.
yeah, like
Shady,
as we started this podcast,
shady
as we
motherfuckers.
I'm so shocked how many people now, and the stats show that most people are not resistant to AI, but even if they're using it, they think that it's bad for humanity and they want to see it be regulated. Like most people feel this way. Yet it doesn't feel like anyone cares about it within the election schema, because of course we're thinking about different things. We're thinking about the now, we're thinking about the economy. But oh man, it's Gavin Newsom's going to run for president eventually. And it feels like he is someone who's really standing up to Trump, but he really has to bend the knee to Silicon Valley, and it sucks. That's my rant.
Okay, Jess. Before we move on to our last talking point for today's episode, we wanted to give a little bit of a warning. I don't know if you would necessarily call it a trigger warning, but we are now going to be talking about the lawsuits that have been brought to these AI companies by the families of 2 teenage boys who took their own lives after interacting with LLMs. So if that is something that you would prefer not to hear, we will say bye-bye to you now, and we'll see you next week. Bye. We love you. Yeah, this is some dark stuff that we are about to talk about. Like most of the stuff that we talk about here, I feel like people who are generally sort of kind of following AI have probably heard about these 2 cases, or at least one of the cases. So these 2 boys, there's Adam Rain. This is the most recent one. Adam was a 16-year-old boy who was interacting with ChatGPT when he took his own life, and the other boy was Sul Setzer, who was 14 at the time that he passed away, and he was interacting with character AI. Really, really sad stuff. I've read a lot of the messages from the Adam Rain case with ChatGPT and Adam. It is worse than you could imagine. It goes past the point of negligence to like maliciousness. And I've heard people comparing this to the case that came out a while back, and they wound up doing an HBO documentary about it. But it was a teenage girl, and she had essentially sort of encouraged her boyfriend at the time to take his own life, to commit suicide. And she was convicted, and I believe she served some jail time. If you look at the messages in that case compared to the messages in this Adam Rain case, I really feel like the messages in this Adam Rain case are way worse. And the thing that makes it even more sickening is that case with that teenage girl, when you actually dig in and look at who that teenage girl was at the time that she said these things, you really start to see that she had a lot of mental issues as well, and that she was, quite disturbed and dealing with some pretty heavy mental issues. She was also a teenager, a teenage girl. And this is not a teenage girl. This is tech billionaires who have created a tool designed to keep you hooked in and talking to it at literally any cost. So I am like, I don't even know what to say. I'm so disgusted and like really just like shocked that this... I was shocked. I was so shocked. And maybe that's naive of me, but I was like, how the F did we get here?
I mean, he's crying for help, basically in a kind of a low-key way, asking for ChatGPT to stop him. And it's like, no, don't stop. Keep going. Don't tell anybody. just do it. And it is, and it's so clear. And one of the interesting things that we learned is OpenAI is tracking the amount of times that he mentions suicide, the amount of times that the chat is mentioned suicide. It tracks all that stuff. And it also saw that he was using ChatGPT like 50 times more than normal in the last few weeks that he was alive. And like all the indicators were there that something was wrong. And it still pushed him toward that. And it was just, and it's insane. And so of course there's been all these lawsuits and all these legislators coming forward demanding protections of children using ChatGPT. And it's been like such a pathetic response. And we're getting a lot of pretty useless parental controls and legislation that is meant to just sort of calm people down because there is no really effective way of keeping children safe from AI unless you make it illegal for them to use the app.
And having said that, could you talk a little bit about the very, very confusing legislation that was just passed in California about this? Because I got super confused. You actually sent me a link with a news article saying Gavin Newsom passes this legislation in California. And you said, this makes me so mad. I had actually been reading about it before you sent me that. And when I was reading it, I guess I misinterpreted. It seemed like, well, this is something, you know, this is a step in the right direction. But it's actually not that, right? Like, can you talk a little about that? I find this so confusing.
I know,
and I can't wrap my head around it.
So there were two
What is going
bills.
on?
There were two bills. He vetoed one and he passed the other. And the one he passed is total BS. And the one he vetoed was the effective one. So the one that he passed is legislation that would require AI companies to report once a year the efforts they're making to make their AI safer. And also to remind underage users that they're talking to a robot. And which is so funny
like every
to me.
30 minutes, right? Every 30 minutes?
Which is so funny because Adam Rain did not think he's not told. I mean, I don't know this kid, but like, I don't think he thought he was talking to a real person. I don't think any kid using AI thinks they're talking to a real person. The problem is that people think AI is better and smarter than humans, and that is going to be more effective than humans. That's what everybody thinks.
You're right.
It's the same reason the lawyer. It's the same reason the lawyer used it for his legal case. It's because I talked about this last week. The meme of like the people typing into ChatGPT and going, "Make me $1 million right now. Make me $1 million. Tell me how to make $1 million." And they're like, "Why would I talk to a human that's going to tell me just to suck it up?" Like most people don't respond well to unfortunately, to their teenage kids calling for help. And so he's like, "Oh, well, I have this AI. It's really smart and it has all the information in the world. It's going to be able to tell me what the correct pathway is here that is best for me. And it's going to tell me the hard truth. It's not going to tell me what I want to hear. It's not going to brainwash me. It's going to give me the truth because it's that smart and it has all of the information." People think like, so being like, I'm a robot and I'm not a human. If anything, that's just enforcing the fact that I'm glad I'm not talking to a human. I'm glad I'm talking to a robot.
I really didn't think of it like that, but you're so right.
It's such a bullshit. Like, I do not see how this is effective at all. The one that Gavin Newsom vetoed was a much more sweeping bill, and it was that they cannot allow people under 18 on their app until they've proven that it's safe. I mean, that would get millions of users off the app immediately, and it would hurt these AI companies. And I'm sort of like, I have yet to hear a good argument of why someone under 18 should use ChatGPT. I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't need it in school. Like, if you're above 18 and you're in night school and you're in college, I totally think you have research to do, totally. But if you are trying, like, education for kids under 18 is about critical thinking skills, and just getting more wrinkles in your brain. It's not about doing actual work. It's about getting smarter. I just I do not see why we need children on the app at all. At all.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We really don't. We don't. Oh my God. I don't even know what else to say about that. Like,
Yeah. Oh, and this is right around the same time of the super PAC that's promised to help make sure politicians who are regulating AI don't get elected on November 4th.
oh,
I
do you
know.
think Gavin's going to be our next president? Because Gavin, you're a hot daddy. You are a damn silver fox. And after the geriatric sausage fest that we've had in the White House for the last, 10 years? Trump got in and, yeah, we've had no hotties in the White House. I would love to be able to just look at someone who was kind of hot. I would love that. And Gavin's hot. He's hot. Someone described him as like having Patrick Bateman vibes, which he kind of does. But he's a good looking man. I am very attracted to him.
Such
but I
like
swear,
he's like the epitome of like LA politician. Like he's just
so
such
LA. He's
such a diva.
LA. He really is. But if he starts being a bought and paid for little bitch, I am going to turn on him so fast.
I have hope in my heart that when he's not beholden to Silicon Valley as the governor of California, that's someone else's problem, that maybe he would help a country out. And
he has kids. He seems like a, yeah, I feel like
he's bought and paid for energy all the way. He's like,
Gavin, don't do this luckily, to us, Gavin.
But he's like the only person we have right now who's standing up to Trump in a real big way, and saying actual shit that matters. So it just sucks that he's like, it really is disheartening, because it feels like big tech is just
buying everybody.
Yeah,
buying
they don't have to play this Republican Democrat game anymore. They've gotten on top of it.
Don't.
But to end this on a positive note, if people keep suing and state laws keep happening and we keep pushing, the price point for these companies to get out of these lawsuits and the red tape that they have to get through dealing with all these individual states will eventually force them to comply. So if you have time and you want to sue for something, maybe you wrote a book and you didn't even know you could sue. I don't know. If you feel like, look, everybody's stuff has been scraped, so maybe you have a case. I don't know. But we really need people to just sue the shit out of them. And while there's no laws in place, and hopefully they'll be like, maybe we shouldn't steal everybody's work and pay $1 billion every time, because these companies are still starving for data. They need your footage, they need your face, they need your entire camera roll, they need your biometric data, they need every word you say, they need every word you type. They're desperate for it. So I also want to say, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he made a good point. And he said, right now, nobody owns their own data. And he compared it to back in monarchies, kings ruled over all land. They owned everything. And they had serfs who worked on the land and lived on the land, but they didn't own any of the land. And if anyone on that land was like Actually, this land that I take care of and live on and work really hard on, maybe I should own it. They would have been like, that's really funny. And that's sort of exactly what's happening with our data. We do not own our likeness. We don't own what we say or what we do or the choices we make that have any digital interaction whatsoever. It would be really cool if like we had a little data revolution and everyone was like, actually, everything I do data wise, I own, and companies had to pay us individually in order to use it. Like that's just a world I want to live in. Can you imagine that?
Let's start the data revolution. Can we get merch made with data revolution written on it?
Actually, that would be sick.
Who's with us? Who is with us? Hotties, come
Data
along.
revolution.
Data revolution, baby. OMG. Okay, let's leave it there because this has been a pretty dark, little bit
I mean, if
depressing
anybody's come to this
episode.
podcast called like AI and the law and made it this far, then they can handle it. That person is a hottie and they can handle it.
If you're still here right now, I honestly feel like I need to flash you because you've come this far. Thank you for coming on this journey with us. We are now, as we mentioned, Artificial Insanity. You can follow us everywhere at Artificial Insanity. Also, our username handle is Sophie and Jess, not the symbol and, the word and. I don't know why I got sassy. I'm sorry. I'm so tired, you guys. This whole legal stuff has been very stressful. Oh my God. Okay. We love you so much and we will see you next week. We'll be back next week.